July.
Here are some of the announcements from July that caught my eye that I'd like to share here with you guys in the hope that I can highlight something that you might have missed. So let's get started. Now, I'm not a gamer and I have never been a gamer, but from what I understand, Stalker is a big hit in the gaming world. Stalker is a series of atmospheric, post-apocalyptic, first-person shooter games, and it's set in the Chernobyl exclusion zone, blending survival, horror, with an open world exploration and immersive storytelling. At least that's what the computer tells me. Last month, Spala, I think that's how it's pronounced, announced a whole heap of 35th scale 3D printed figures inspired by this franchise. The whole post-apocalyptic universe is massive in the modeling world right now, so this line will cater for those modelers and will be a nice draw for the fans of this gaming franchise, so keep an eye out for this one. The Pilatus PC9A is an Australian modified version of the Swiss-designed Pilatus PC9, and it's used primarily by the Australian Air Force for advanced flight training, which is why I've included this one in my list. It served for the early 1990s until its gradual replacement by the PC21. And I'll let you guys get your tongue around the manufacturer's name. I'll refer to it as KP Models, and it's part of the Czech manufacturer AZ Models brand. This is a 72nd scale kit and was newly tooled in 2024, with this boxing including the decals for the RAAF. So you would like to think, being a modern tooling, the kit should build up nicely, and AZ Models can be a little hit and miss, but I have high hopes for this one. Now, I love a movie tie-in with my modeling, and I love the simplicity of these releases. I'm talking about the 1/12 scale figure sets of some of the Marvel and DC heroes we've all come to love. FAUN specialise in this field with their kits including coloured plastic parts that offer articulation over the models. They've also adopted this snap fit style of construction, kind of like the Bandai kits were. July saw the announcement of a few different characters, but I do have a soft spot for Iron Man and most of all, Deadpool.
It's me, Deadpool!
Kits like this appeal to such a broad range of people and are a great way to introduce our non-modelling friends and children to the hobby. The URAN 9 represents one of the earliest attempts to integrate robotics into conventional military operations, acting as a remotely operated mini tank, if you like, intended for urban combat support, reconnaissance and firepower delivery. And it's a glimpse into the future of ground warfare. Amusing hobby like to dip their toes into the water with what-if subjects and prototypes and whatnot, but I can guarantee you this actually is a real vehicle, which is kind of scary given I just watched Terminator the other day.
I'll be back.
I've called out F&A Miniatures a couple of times this year simply because they are producing some extremely cool subjects that simply no one else seems to be. Now, F&A are a 3D print producer, and from everything I've heard, they are producing fairly high-end kits, and with any luck, I'll get my hands on this one and qualify that for you. This FAUN F1500 FLAK Trager wagon, I think I've said that right, was not an official or mass-produced military variant of any type, but field conversions of these FAUN trucks into FLAK carriers did exist, so I guess it historically fits. It's plausible, if you like. I just couldn't find anything to support that claim, so if you have a pic of this vehicle, I would love to see it. This release has been announced in 72nd and 48th scale, so fingers crossed we can perhaps see one in 35th scale, although that's going to be a really big kit. Sorry for the intrusion, but Wade Duchino, I'm still waiting on you, mate, to claim this Tamiya t-shirt. You won it from the last video. Make sure you get in touch with me. Details are down below. Now let's get back to the video. Takom continue to throw us something different in terms of the genres they're willing to dabble in. And this month sees the release of the 1 to 350th scale of the Soviet World War II destroyer, the Gremyashchiy. The ship was inspired by Italian designs, but reworked to meet Soviet naval doctrine. It's sleek and fast, yet lightly built. The ship featured a powerful armament of 130mm guns, torpedoes and depth charges, and later with anti-aircraft upgrades. And it's all packaged into that narrow hull, which was prioritized for speed and aggression. I like that disruptive dazzle camouflage that comes on the box art and the compact nature of this release. Interestingly, the Chinese purchased 4 of these destroyers in the 50s and renamed them the Anshan class, and that was China's first venture into a modern style warship, and Takom have cashed in on these molds, releasing a boxing of that Chinese version. Now, I was completely blown away with the quality and refinement in the ZIMI model kits when I recently saw them at the Shizuoka show, which is why when I saw this brand on this release, I just had to include it in this list. The AFT-10 is a Chinese-made vehicle-mounted missile system and was approved for use in 2012. It's a modern, versatile platform designed to hit tanks, bunkers, and low-speed targets at ranges of up to 10 kilometers. Over time, it has expanded onto wheeled and amphibious chassis. Like I said, this one is probably more about the manufacturer and what I'd seen before than it is about the subject, but there is definitely something appealing with that Chinese digital camouflage scheme, so keep an eye out for this one. Now, it never ceases to amaze me how I still manage to stumble on subjects I knew nothing about from the Second World War, and this is one of them. This is the SF-40 Siebel Ferry, of which there were significant numbers of these things made. They were modular and they were constructed from standard bridge pontoons and powered by aircraft engines, which made them quick and cheap to produce, and it was ideal for Germany's wartime logistic effort. Originally intended for Operation Sea Lion, which was Germany's planned invasion of Britain, but after the plan was cancelled, they were assigned to roles across Europe. Many were equipped with 88mm FLAK guns or 20mm anti-aircraft guns, essentially turning these things into formidable mobile FLAK platforms. SS Model are another 3D print maker. There seems to be heaps of them around at the moment, creating high quality kits of these interesting subjects. 1/44th scale is probably on the small side for me, but I guess it was a big subject, and I'm hoping we might see this in 48th or even 72nd scale. Would be a bit of fun to play around with, so keep an eye out for that one. Becoming the most expensive cancelled aircraft project in the history of the Pentagon, the A-12 was planned to be the US Navy's next generation stealth attack aircraft, and it was poised to be the replacement for the A-6 Intruder. This was a joint development between McDonnell Douglas and General Dynamics through the 80s and early 90s, with the plane becoming known as the Flying Dorito due to its shape. The project was over budget, behind schedule, and never met expectations, and unfortunately never saw an operational prototype. But I still find the plane and the potential of such an airframe truly interesting, which is why this Model Collect Avenger II has made my list at number 2. This is another model I saw over at Shizuoka, and I'm pretty keen to get my hands on this one. Now, I appreciate the Matilda one isn't going to be everyone's cup of tea, but there is something about this tank that really appeals to me.
Yes, Matilda.
It firmly has one foot in the shadows of the First World War and the other trying to design something new and innovative. But in terms of a tank, it was a bit of a bludger. Designed in the 30s, its heavy armour was really the only thing it had going for it. Given it was only armed with a machine gun, it lacked any sort of impact on the battlefield, and it was painfully slow. It did see action in the early stages of the war in France, and other than its namesake, it actually has nothing to do with the Matilda II that would be the tank that would supersede it. I was excited when Vargas Models released this a few years ago, and I never got around to picking one up, so I'm happy to see it's made its way to an injection molded kit, and I'm pretty excited at the possibilities this kit provides, so keep your eye out for that one. A couple of other notable mentions are the D-Day miniatures. The Rommel figure set will pair perfectly with the Takom half-track release. There's a Meng Leopard in 72nd scale as they continue their journey with that vehicle frame. I'd check that one out. And of course, Airfix announced their another 24th scale Spitfire, and I know that's going to keep some people happy, but I just couldn't put it on my list. And I announced in last month's video, I think it was, V&K had released the Lebedenko tank in 72nd scale. Well, they've released it in 35th scale. This thing's going to be over 1/2 meter long, so keep an eye out for that one as well. Of course, it would be remiss of me not to mention the passing of one of the industry's titans. Of course, I'm talking about Tamiya Shunsaku-san. He was a visionary who shaped generations of scale modelers worldwide, and the impact Tamiya has had on my life, as well as the hobby, has been profound, and he will be greatly missed. And in other news, my killer kangaroos have begun our first Workbench Hobbies group build. I've uploaded the first set of cheat sheets for them over on the Patreon page. We're working together on the Takom SD KFZ 251, and if you're interested in joining in, then make your way over to the Patreon page and dial in with the killer kangaroos. And I can promise you it will improve your modeling and connect you with that amazing community. And after 3 years, my camera died and is in at the repair shop, so I hope this footage on my iPhone is adequate to get us through this month. Hopefully should be on track very soon.
Look what you made me do!
So remember guys, this is the greatest hobby in the world. Share it with your family and share it with your friends, and let's be proud of what we do. Until next time, I will see you soon.
I think I'm falling for Matilda.